Welcome to Who's Your Caddy? I'm your host, Kelly Singh. In this episode, we will be discussing the Mexican Open at Vidanta. Very fancy sounding for a not very fancy tour event, but it's going to be really fun to talk about because my co-host Adam is going to give us some background on this tournament, and we're both going to give you our very favorite picks to build your DFS lineups this week. Let's get right into it. Maybe not. And now. By now, I think you're used to these shenanigans that happen. But this podcast is meant to help you grow your DFS game and even a prop better too. Let's bring them up to the next level. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, you are bound to find something helpful in this podcast. But before I get too far, let me bring in my co-host, the cheese to my eggs, Adam Hallas, at Mr. Hallas.
Hello.
Hello.
I've yet to hear the cheese to my eggs in a long time.
You know, I thought about it because I had cheese on my eggs this morning.
Oh, scrambled, sunny side up.
Scrambled with cheese. It was pepper jack, spicy.
Spicy, a little spice. Hey, and before you get into it, is that a new shelf behind you? Because it looks fantastic.
Thank you. Yes, it is a new shelf behind me featuring all my little favorite knickknacks that I'm growing, apparently. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How was your day? I know you went out for a beer.
I did. I was actually helping someone with their digital marketing. They are not a very computer savvy person, so I was helping them link analytics, ads, SEO, Google Search Console all in one. And they were paying me in beer at a brewery my friend works at. So it was good. It's gonna be a good show.
It's gonna be a good show because some of these players we're gonna talk about are not our typical picks, because our typical picks are like, nah, I'm out this week.
Yeah, it's if you followed us from last season, we used to have what the fuck picks, WTF.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole tournament is 90% what the F.
Little dart throws everywhere.
There are. And the thing that sucks is there's only 2 years of course history on this particular tournament. And so that's where the dart throw kind of comes in. So you're trying to do course history in a particular person, which is why Tony Finau is 30% or higher owned, because he's come in the top 10 both times in the past 2 years at this particular course. So everybody is climbing on because the next person down is Emiliano Grillo at 11.6, and you're like, what the fuck? I just paid 7.6 for him last weekend. Now why am I paying $4,000 more for him? So
I mean, I did see him up close and personal at the Waste Management Phoenix Open.
I took a picture of you.
You did?
30,000 above feet. I was flying over and I took a picture. I was like,
did you see me? Yeah. He was playing pretty well, I must say. He really was.
But he followed a particular Grillo pattern, which is first round, yay. Second round, I'm doing okay. Saturday, this is why you picked me. Sunday, I'm going to go home, and I don't care what I'm doing.
The only thing that was good on Sunday for him, because that was the day I was there, and I happened to catch like most of his approach shots. And his approach shot was fine. Like, it was there, but he could not close the deal, and off the tee, not superb. But man, that mid game on point.
Speaking of mid game, we're going to need the mid game here at Vallarta because the approach shots are 200 yards or plus, which is 20% more than the average PGA Tour event. And so it's a little bit longer. You be long off the tee. It's a resort style course, which means the rough is not going to be a penalty by any means. It's not going to be like it was last week at the Riviera, but we are going to need some distance off the tee. We're going to need some approach, and we're going to need that putting help. We're going to need to close the deal. And with the pool that we have this week, it's going to be you're going to have to get different. You're going to have to get weird, and especially if you're entering those multi-entry contests, you're going to have to spice it up a bit.
Well, I was just making a quick note because one of the screens I had left open for myself this afternoon was I love to look at the course fit tool. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned distance, and I think the players that we are pulling in and recommending are actually the ones that are the best fit, it feels like, for this course. So that also explains why rostership is pretty high, but we do give you some zigs and zags along the way. Don't worry.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. You know what? Let's talk about the top tier. I don't want any of it. I want 0 of the 10,000 and above. I do not want to drop $12K on Finau. No, I have him on one of my fantasy league teams, and he makes me cry every week.
I mean, he's the big fish in a small pond in this tournament. And so given that mental game a little bit, he might do fantastic, right? He's
12K fantastic?
I did at 30% plus ownership.
I just can't.
At that price, he has to get in the top 5. But like I said before, he's been in the top 5 or top 10 past 2 times. Now, that being said, if you're looking to enter a tournament on DFS and try to make it all the way and be different, Tony Finau is not your guy. And I think we were talking before we got into the show that the only person I have above 10, and he is sparsely put into my lineups, is Hogard, and he's at 10.7. He's already at 18%, and it's only Tuesday, so we'll probably get to 21%. Yeah. Everything is gone.
He is a good fit for this course with the distance and the approach on point. And he's also a really great putter, so that doesn't hurt, at least, when we're looking at his performance model over top of the course average model. I like it. I mean, he's always a fave of mine too. I just hate these prices. They're so gross.
Like I said, he's the only one I have over 10. Bulk of my pool that I made. And the way I make my pool is probably a little bit different than anybody else makes their pool. Like I make a very small pool, and it's all or nothing. I know a lot of people that enter the 150 format max, mini maxes and stuff like that. So they can play the odds, and mathematically the odds are with you. Here's my pool. Make the lineup so you can. If it's 38, it's fine. If it's 45, it's great. If it's 150, great. But I'm sticking with this pool because I know they're good. And it was working out great last week. I was in second place. 1,500 is mine Saturday, right? And Hideki plays the third best round of his life on Sunday.
Out of his mind.
Out of his mind. He was 6 strokes shots gained on his final round on Sunday, which is the third best round of 910 rounds that he's played. So he just played lights out Sunday.
Yeah. I had a great week last week. I had Jason Day. I had Luke List. I had Zalatoris. So it was, with those three alone, it was a good week.
I had Cantlay, Ed Schauffele that day. I had, who else did I have?
Schauffele shit the bed.
They all came in Sunday. You're like, you know what? I'm going to shit the bed.
So did Cantlay. Yeah. I'm like, what is happening right now?
I didn't have Hideki. I didn't have Zalatoris. And so that's what hurt me. So I was doing fine Saturday. And then when Sunday came, Sunday hangover, and kind of hurt me.
It was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch for sure.
Yeah.
But the only person I have close to 10K, I have two in the nines, but Stefan Jägermeister, 9.8K on DraftKings. I like him because he's that like middle of the road. He tied for 15th. He tied for 18th last year. 19% rostership though. So lots of people on board with Stefan Jaeger as probably their top pick because they don't want to pay $12K for Tony Finau.
Yeah. And like he is 370 yards driving distance, 60% driving accuracy, greens in regulation for like a past 12 months, 71%, which is outrageously good.
Yeah, he's been great.
And so, I mean, the only time he's done bad was actually at Pebble Beach, and he didn't do great. Let's call it just a hungover little tournament because he came in top 5 at Farmers. So I think he'll do pretty good here. So I think I have Jaeger as well. So
I like it. Oh, speaking of fun nicknames, I have to tell you this really quick. Backtrack, rewind. At the WM Phoenix Open, I was on 17 and no, it was 18. Sorry. Tee box at 18 and up walks Brendan Todd. And I go, it's the Toddfather. And he looks over and he smiles and like does a little wave and everybody's like laughing. It's like nobody had ever heard that before.
What?
I know. And
It's
everybody thought it was like so clever. And he thought it was so clever. So I had to tell you that because it made my day.
Oh, I love the Toddfather. He is on point, always on his irons. So, but yeah.
It was fun. That was fun. Okay, I digress. Also, 9.1, Brandon Wu, tied for second in 2022, third last year. When would I ever play Brandon Wu except for now? And also 16% of other managers will be playing him. And he's only projected for 63 fantasy points, but that's right around average, believe it or not. So I like Brandon Wu. I think he, again, is a good fit. I think he has great history here. And he's been on my bench for the last 6 weeks in regular fantasy. So let's bring him up. Put me in, coach.
Yeah, put him in. Yeah, he came in third last year. Just if you look at his play outside the Mexico Open, you're like, why would I play Brandon Wu? But if you look at what the Mexico Open in there, you're like, shots gained total 14. Like it's outrageous. And so he's one of those people. Yeah, I would put him in there. And the reason being is he gains almost a stroke on Popsum grass, which is what the greens are made out of.
Oh, that's interesting.
298 yards driving distance, 61% driving accuracy, 70% greens in regulation. So he's a resort style course player. Outside of that, I would never play him again. But
right.
Resort style, yeah, put him
in. Then we've got Cam Champ. It just happens to be that these are like all my bench players. These are all my bench players, but I like him. The only thing that kind of bothers me a little bit about him is around the green. Might be a little not as great as I'd like, but he's got the distance. I think he has the approach and the accuracy down. So I like that he fits that course history model. He also has finishing power, tying for 6th in 2022 and 8th, tying for 8th in 2023. and only 9% rostered. So 8.6K, Cameron Champ. I really like that one.
Yeah, I like him too. When you look at his driving distance, 318 yards. He's long off the tee. Greens in regulation, 71%. His putts per round, it's a little high. But again, he's like Brandon Wu, where this particular green type of greens he does well at. Almost gains a half a stroke. But again, he's one of those players, like if you take Mexico Open out, you're like, why would I be playing this guy? But he shows up. So like Mexico Open and Shriners Children's Open.
Yeah.
Any open or resort style course, you kind of have to look at these different pool players that kind of show up just then. And that's it.
One player that I find to be super interesting at 9K is Mark Hubbard, but not many managers are on board at 7% rostership, projected for 69 fantasy points. Mark Hubbard is just fine for this course. Actually, probably could do pretty well. But then you look and think, why spend 9K on Mark Hubbard when I can have Seon Yeon Kim at 7.9K? So you're saving $1,100. They're actually identical when you look at their projections for this week. So I love saving a little money, doing a little this or that. What do you think? Why is Mark Hubbard at 9K this week?
So I like Mark Hubbard. I had him in my pool.
I think he's fine. I'm just like 9K for that.
He's got, again, course history, 70% greens in regulation. He is a type of resort style course player. The Mexico Open last year, he came in 18th. We don't need people to be particularly good around the green. It's not something that we need them to be good on approach and putting. And then off the tee, be a good ball striker. And so I don't really look at around the green, but when I do look at him and say, all right, so he has 294 yards driving distance and 62% driving accuracy. I look at Singh Kim, he has 55% driving accuracy and 309 yards driving distance. So where you're giving up one, you're picking up on the other.
Off the tee, yeah.
So it's one of those things like, how much do you want to pay for it?
True. So if you're having trouble fitting things in, this is where I like to look at their projections to make the cut, their projections for top 20, top 10, how many points are they projected. And when I see those patterns in the highs and lows, you can definitely find some value in there that matches up to those 9 and 10K players. I like to throw that in there. I have a short little pool, but are there any players that you're dying to talk about?
Dying? Not in this tournament. Dying. So players that I'm playing that are kind of my value plays to try to get different, that I'm like, maybe. Scott Stallings and Joseph Bramlett are kind of my value plays. Like I said, I kind of make my pool small. And so I have Scott Stallings, who has an okay history here, okay driving distance at 300. It's really kind of a hope and a prayer. He's missed cut several times, but he's one of those guys where, like, I think he does okay at resort style courses. He missed the cut last year, or in 2022. Again, it's a hope and a prayer, but I think for the most part, the way I put my model is off the tee, driving accuracy, par 5 scoring, because it's going to be huge here. Because 60% of the par 5s, the approachable par 5s, are on the back 9, 14, 15, 16, 17. And all of them are, there's a 297-yard par 4, which is 3% eagle rate. So I think he'll do okay here.
Yeah.
I think he's fine. Watch me start crying on Sunday because why did I play Scott Stallings?
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll
So
be
anyway,
fine.
those are my difference makers.
I like those. Those are great difference makers. Scott Stalling, JJ Spawn, and Grayson Sigg are all in the same-ish price range, 72 to 7,300. They're all projected to score around the same. They're all in that same little bunch. So if you have a fave, pull one out of there because I think all of them. Oh, other than Grayson Sigg, he did not miss a cut. JJ Spawn missed a cut. Grayson Sigg, however, tied for 33rd in 2022 and tied for 18 last year. So I kind of like all those guys in that little bunch. Other players that I put on my little list, we both discussed prior to going live, Erik van Rooyen, EVR, as you like to say. A little bit pricey, 9.5, but again, one of those guys you're paying for what you're likely going to get on this course. He's probably going to do really well. Michael Kim, 8.2K. Get both those Kims on your roster. Why not?
Kim it up.
My little value is Alex Smalley, along that same lines as we were just talking about with Spawn and Stallings and Sigg. We have Alex Smalley just a little bit more at 7.5, and that gives you a little bit more in the odds. But again, when are you ever dying to play Alex Smalley? I don't know. This week. I don't know. That's all I got. I think it's fun. I actually like watching these tournaments. It's really fun.
I like watching any tournaments, actually. Like,
That's
it's nice
true.
to wake up with a cup of coffee around 9 o'clock and catch the early feeds of the tournament going. So
That's good. You know what? We were very efficient this week. Let me just recap for you who we like this week. We are talking value picks in Scott Stallings. Oh, shoot. I already forgot your other one.
Joseph
Bramlett.
Yeah.
Joseph Bramlett, Scott Stallings, Adam's value picks. I was pulling out JJ Spawn, Alex Smalley. You might as well throw Grayson Sigg in there as well, since he has not missed a cut there. All very value priced. Then you're looking to pay a little bit more. We're talking about Michael Kim at 8.2, Erik van Rooyen at 9.5, Cam Champ 8.6, Brandon Wu 9.1, Steven Yeager 9.8, and you had at 10. I already forgot that one too. Sorry. Hogarden. Nikolai Hogard. I like to say Hogarden. We always talk about beer. 10.7 if you want to buy up. I am not recommending Tony Finau just because I want to spend my money elsewhere. But 30 whatever percent can't be wrong. I don't know what the rostership is. I just made that up.
It's 30+% as of right now.
Yep. 30% of roster team managers can't be wrong, maybe, but I'm not going to be one.
But if everybody else is on it and you're not, and you end up being better than them, think of how much you'll move up.
Very true. Very true. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, bearing with us. I've had a crazy schedule. I appreciate Adam for going solo 2 weeks ago. And then last week, I'm like, you know what? Let's just take a little break and enjoy. So thank you all. And we'll see you next week, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. See you then. I think. Do I have the right video up? I do. Bye.